Shalom, SK here. Welcome back to Sister Kate Shofar Mountain channel. I just had to comment on the recent assassination attempt on President Donald Trump. I happened to be online when the first news reports came out, and I did an Instagram post and I did a community post on my channel just to say, check the news. And then soon after, PJ sent me the first video that was coming out of news agencies at that rally. And that was on 13 July 2024, and it was in the afternoonish, or somewhere around 4 to 6 p.m. in Butler, Pennsylvania, as we all know now. And there were reporters on the scene, and so there was a video shot. So the first thing that went through my mind when I watched the replays was, and this is for any of us who've done any shooting at all, on ranges, if you're a hunter, whatever, is that that shot came from Trump's right, which is indisputable now. Lots of people have talked about that, but that was abundantly clear to me when I watched that video. And so an immediate thought that should come to your mind, if you understand that, is the Secret Service and the police and everybody else should be looking to the right. And soon after, you know that the snipers shot Thomas Crook on that rooftop. And then the thought that came to me right after that, after I watched the shot, and then Trump grabbed his ear and Trump dropped to the ground, which was really smart on his part. When he realized what had happened, he jumped down very quickly to the ground, was how close he came to actually being assassinated. And I do think it's bold of him, and I do think it's courageous of him to get up immediately after and to, fight, and to also go and do his next scheduled appearances that evening after having his ear bandaged, looked at by a doctor. But the fact that he did turn his head at that moment saved his life. There is no doubt about that. And many people want to account that to the Lord saving his life. And if you're a believer, you will think that. If you're not a believer, then you can just think like fate, luck, whatever. He saved his own life by doing that one head turn. And I saw a comment on a Patreon channel by a gentleman who said, if you watch the video, pay attention to what he's doing. Before that, he had already been looking over his shoulder to the right at a screen behind him. And if you've watched any of Trump's speeches, he does move around and he does look at people he's talking to, and he checks if he's, if he's got a guest and they're behind him, he'll look back and speak to the guest. So it's not unusual for him to be moving around when he's talking. And that moving around saved his life. There's no doubt about that. And if you think, it's a staged event or whatever, then look up the picture of the bullet that was caught, probably on video, and then they stilled that actual part to show the bullet whizzing by his head. I don't think you faked that. And lots of people, newscasters, commentarians, etc., are floating the idea that Trump could have staged this event to give him a bigger lead in the running for president, but I don't think it was necessary. That's why I think it was assassination attempt, because Trump is already leading. Why would he bother? Why would he put on a show like that? There's so much else he can do with public time, and he's not new to the public eye. So there's a lot of things he could have done to, show him kissing babies and all that kind of stuff. One of the things people also talk about is the fact that there is video, TikTok, and other video of a police officer climbing up to see Thomas Crook on the roof, and video of Thomas Crook on the roof before and after he's shot, and people scratching their heads and like, why didn't the Secret Service stop that guy? Why didn't somebody spend more time examining that? And it's definitely the Secret Service's fault and the local police's fault that they didn't investigate further. But you have to also think and realize you cannot pre-arrest someone for a crime they haven't committed yet. Now, you can certainly watch them. You can go question them, which makes me wonder why the Secret Service did not go over there and question him or detain him, pull him off the roof, especially if the snipers had already seen him over there. If they thought he had binoculars, you can still question him. But keep in mind, you cannot be pre-arrested for something you haven't done yet. There's a whole movie with Tom Cruise in it about that actual concept. But right now, as American law stands, you can't do that. Someone has to actually do something wrong, and then you arrest them. There were two other points I wanted to make about the shot, and then we're going to go to the slope. There's been a lot of comments and referrals back to Kennedy's assassination. But there's many people whose memories don't include the fact that Ronald Reagan was also shot while president. And he was shot, I think it was in the side, and his Secret Service quickly got around him and pushed him in the car and got him to medical aid and everything. But political shootings are not rare in America, despite what Joe Biden may have said or not said. Political shootings have been happening for a really long time. We've had presidents assassinated. We've had, I can't remember if it was a senator or a congressman shot at a softball game. Not that long ago. It might have been under the Clintons, maybe under the Obamas. And then there was a female black representative from Maryland. I don't know if she was trying to run for mayor of Baltimore or, like a congresswoman from Baltimore, but it was in Maryland, and she was a young woman, and I think she had just gotten elected, and she was assassinated. She was shot and found dead like a day later. So these things are not unusual, and it's part of being a public figure that you have to take into account, what the public might do, what access they have to you and your people in your family, and why we have a Secret Service is to help guard and protect some of our valuable political people. So my last point about the shot, lots of people have already said, at 150 yards or 400 feet, an accomplished marksman could have made the shot. Any accomplished marksman can shoot very well at a target not moving and hit it. It's very hard to anticipate movement unless you've studied your target, and somebody like Trump, they know he's going to be standing in front of a podium. That's why it's bulletproof. So that's why the shot's not coming from the front. And we all know that if the shot had come from behind him, then people in front of him would have been screaming and they would have been the ones wounded. But here's a very salient point that I haven't heard anyone bring up yet. Trying to shoot someone in the head is not a good practice. It is not recommended. And I'm not saying I've, had assassin training or anything like that. I have not. I was an NRA certified instructor for rifle and pistol for 5 years. So I've had very good basic firearms training, and I've also trained people in basic firearms handling. But just generally speaking, when you are thinking you're going to be in a defensive situation, or possibly you're in the military and you're being taught, how they want you to shoot, you are not supposed to be trying to aim at someone's head. It's a much smaller target, and it moves around. People move their head all the time when they're talking and looking and participating in any kind of activity. And so this is a key that this assassin, and there's lots of other facts about him. I get that. He's only 19 or 20. He can't be that experienced, etc. Obviously, he had an interest because he tried to join his high school rifle team, but he was so bad at it, they wouldn't let him join, at least initially. But this was not a professional assassination attempt, because a professional assassin would not aim at someone's head. They would go for a shot that they knew would be much more likely to hit the target. And that's the last comment I'm going to make about that. We're going to move on to the slope. You got to have real life experience to realize what a joke the comment about the slope is, saying it's too steep for a Secret Service agent to clamber up. That's just ridiculous. And the reason I did a photo for this video, and it's definitely on Instagram and on my YouTube channel, is because the slope up to my chicken coop that I walk every single day, multiple times a day, is more than a 5% slope. And I walk up and down that in all kind of things like my Crocs and sandals. I just walk up there. I'm a grandma. So that is a ridiculous statement, and whoever the head of the Secret Service is right now needs to be fired. She needs to be replaced. I don't know how she got the job, and she went through Secret Service training, so I'm not saying this woman's soft. I'm just saying this woman is not experienced in being outdoors and climbing on slopes, clearly. Or else she'd have been like, clamber on up there, fellas, you'll be fine. Even if you're wearing a suit, you can still climb. Like, it's just a ridiculous statement. So, no. And that's from experience, y'all. And so now we go on to the BS. And by BS, I meant what BS means. And the BS is going to be all the commentaries coming out after this. The BS is and was CNN's initial reporting saying the Secret Service interrupted Trump's rally speech. They did news on, like, I can't even remember now, Turtles or something on their website. Like, the president has just been shot and they don't have anything on there except non-related stories. It was such nonsense. There are commentators who give opinions on things like firearms and the Secret Service, who don't know anything about ballistics, don't know anything about shooting or sighting, proper sight alignment, distances to targets, calibers of firearms, names of rifles. They're going to give all sorts of silly, ridiculous comments about what actually happened. And the facts are, someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump. And that's a big political happening. That's important. And it's also an indication of at least that young man and whoever backed him being not happy with Trump, right? And it's based on nothing. The rhetoric around Trump has been lies for the last 4 to 8, not 48 years. And you can fact check it yourself. Don't listen to the fact checkers online. Go look at what Trump did in the first 100 days of his presidency. See what the jobless rate was, which was some of the lowest. See what the employment rates were, some of the highest. See what your bank rates were, because Bidenomics has ruined us all. Bidenomics has trashed our economy and made life so much harder for so many Americans. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe the BS. If you want to know facts, look up facts and stick to the truth, y'all. It's going to be an interesting fall. Thanks for watching. Bless y'all. Shalom.